Hey,
I've
Dad
always-
worked for Nestle. Dad worked for Nestle, mate. The free kick out today didn't really work too well.
This is potentially the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. And that's saying something because there's been some stupid stuff in the history of it.
For me, what was the most rewarding, just learning, taking stuff out of them, and also being given this platform to be able to stand up and represent people of my time.
The only way really to kick poverty in the butt at all is through education, and I probably didn't realise until I went there.
Sure, they should back you. It's Water Cooler Weekly. I mean, it's a big deal.
Mitch Ellis, Melbourne Aces, Kansas City Royals. You're a very impressive young man. We'll talk about the Melbourne Aces first. So you just finished up your second season with the Aces, where you won the Claxton Shield?
Yeah, Claxton Shield.
Yeah, which is your third.
Yeah, third Perso, which not too bad.
Third in 3 years. So, mate, obviously COVID has completely screwed around the whole season. What was it like from going through the season, and even the final itself was cut short by a day, which obviously benefited you guys?
Yeah, crazy season. Definitely of the three that I've done, that was the absolute weirdest. Like starting, our first road trip in Sydney outbreak happened. Of course, good timing by the ABL have us up there. And we got told 10:30, got a message come through after breakfast, all the boys getting ready for a game or whatever. Just half an hour, we got a bus taking us back to Melbourne.
Jesus.
First road trip, 2 days in.
Cut short.
Absolutely hectic.
Yeah.
Especially the last game too. We were driving up. We were probably, me and my mate McGrath driving together. We were probably 100 metres from the ballpark, and we got the message that the night was the championship game. It was supposed to be a qualifying final, and pretty crazy. But I think we were definitely well suited for that. We came out, absolutely smashed it in the finals. I think we scored 26 runs and conceded 8. So I think we were
absolute piss missiles.
Yeah, we were well and truly the favourites, and I think getting that info the day of probably helped us a bit. But yeah, it was a crazy year, that's for sure.
A few months ago, we were speaking before the season started. We spoke about Manny Ramirez, who signed with the Sydney Blue Sox. I think his stay there was very short.
Very short,
but
indeed.
You sort of touched on the fact that as a kid you had a Manny Ramirez T-shirt. Did you get a chance to see him, meet him, play against him at all?
We didn't get to play against him, unfortunately. His stint out here was pretty short, but that first series we were up there, he was around. So I think the first day at the field we saw him taking BP and we saw him running around, and that was a big shock, especially growing up. Manny was probably the number one name in baseball, and I remember we went to a bloody Dodgers game in LA when he was there, and we got do-rags with dreadlock extensions, and so I actually still have the do-rag. I was going to get him to sign it, that and MVP baseball on the PS2.
He's an absolute character. I know you're still in the very early stages of your career, but have you had a chance to play against someone that you grew up watching, or maybe someone maybe an older Australian player who you looked up to?
Yeah, I haven't had the pleasure of playing with too many blokes that I grew up watching in the day, but one bloke, even just our pitching coach of the Aces, Pete Moylan, who was probably the longest serving big leaguer Australia's had. I think he had 13 years over there, and I remember watching him and playing in the old MLB The Show games on the PlayStation. You'd always try and trade and get him on your team because he was really the only Aussie mainstay. So me and him actually have a really close relationship now, which is really cool. Something I probably wouldn't have thought about 10 years ago, but I think that's the beauty of sport, is that it brings people together and you get to meet people that you grew up watching and getting around, so it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it true that I heard a rumour that he used to fly out his tattoo artist is that true, or is that mail on that?
It was I don't think they were big flights, but I think it was one of the blokes from either Vegas Inc. or LA Inc., one of those big TV shows. Yeah. He used to get the bloke around to fix him up a bit. He's got some quite extensive tats.
No, he does a little bit, and probably a little bit better than mine. But that is interesting. Because he was in the big leagues for probably I'd say 10
ages,
10 plus
14,
season.
Yeah, I think so. He's been around, and he had a real cool story. He was signed at 18, like most kids, and then went over with the Twins, bounced back, and he was here just like playing club ball, and he was like a pharmaceutical sales rep or something, and then he was just pitching a bit, mucking around, because before then he was a shortstop, similar to me, and then went to the World Baseball Classic, pitched for Team Australia, and got signed, and then a couple of months later he's in the big league, so it's pretty crazy how quick stuff like that happens. But
when you say someone's been in the big leagues for like 10 years, what they, especially as like a relief pitcher, it probably doesn't like tell the full story, because there's a lot of bus trips, like a lot of up and downs between AAA, AA, whatever.
Yeah.
Talk about the grind of what, like, you know, a pitcher or any player obviously has to go through to sometimes make it to the big leagues for a cup of coffee, and then that's it.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, a lot of people play you can play like 10 years in the minor leagues just to get up to the big leagues for one day, and you might even not get on the field. So there's definitely a lot of that up and down. Like when people see someone's up in the big leagues, and then, you know, a couple of days later they might be sent back down to AAA, which is like, you know, the reserves. But yeah, a lot of people, you know, you don't really know that, so you still think they're up in the big leagues. But yeah, the big league's a bit weird. It works with like service time. Like, I think me and you had a convo about it before, where it's like your service time's accumulated by how many days you're up. So like if you're up for a week and you don't pitch, you still get those 7 days accumulated towards your service time. Whereas if you're up and down, you only get the days that you're up. So like, I think they talk about the major league pension. I think it's something ridiculous, like $500,000 a year. But you have to have played 10 years service time. So it's real difficult for people to do. So I think Liam Hendricks, who's the big,
a great example, the
big Australian superstar at the moment, just signed a big deal with the White Sox. I think he said it took him his first 4 years in the big leagues in order to get 1 full year of service time, because he was up and down so much. So.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. Like I remember when I was living in Toronto, because he played for the Blue Jays for a while, but he wasn't, when he was there, he wasn't.
Yeah, different guy then.
Yeah, like I feel like it was when he went to Oakland was when he sort of really
that's when he
took
jumped
off.
out.
Yeah. No, it is really good to see. Like how many guys are in the Australian guys would be in the MLB right now?
So last year we had 3 blokes. So we had Hendricks, of course, Aaron Whitefield, a kid from Queensland, and then Lewis Thorpe, who's from our area, and he's been up and down a bit. So, but yeah, just 3. I mean, when you think of that, like there's 30 whatever teams in the big leagues with 40 guys on each roster, and we only have 3 up there, which is it's an improvement from where we've been. But I think there's only been about 40 or so. Yeah. Major leaguers from Australia ever, so it's getting there, but yeah, it's pretty sparse at the moment.
Look, it is. Look, mate, let's go back to the beginning. How did you get into the sport, and what was it about baseball that got you hooked?
So I got into the sport. My old man played, so he was a massive club ball guy down at Green Hills Monty, just on Kringle Drive there, and I think he played footy and played tennis and was hurting his knee and stuff, and one of his mates said, come down to baseball and give it a go, and he loved it. And then I kind of grew up there, man. Like I probably spent, I'd say, almost every Saturday between the ages of, being born and probably 15, every Saturday, either sleeping at the club rooms because parents were enjoying some post-game
cordials.
Yeah. So
a few too many.
That's kind of how I got into it. Yeah, a few too many for them always. But just kind of got into it through there, and then I dragged a lot of my mates from GK down to come and try days and stuff, and we enjoyed it. And then I just always wanted to be down there around it with my old man, so I kind of worked pretty hard to train and be around it. And then I think grade 6 we made this Victorian team and went to Japan and played a tournament over there against all walks of people. We played against a Mexican team, and one of the blokes was punching darts in the dugout in between at bats, and we were supposed to be 12 at the time or 11 or something. So
that's impressive.
Yeah, one of them had a kid too, so I'm not really sure how old those boys were. They might have been a bit older than legal limit, but so I think that's probably what jumped out the most for me for baseball, because I was playing footy at the time and a bit of cricket and some basketball and stuff, and footy it was a big deal, going up to Shepparton or something, whereas baseball we were in bloody Tokyo, so it was pretty easy to see that baseball can take me to some interesting places, and it definitely has.
I've played one game of baseball in my life
Yeah,
for Green Hills.
absolutely.
So I'll run you through it. I played second base.
Great spot.
Yeah. Airmailed a ball into first. Pretty close to.
Too close of a throw, maybe.
Too-
for you.
too-
Just
too-
a big arm guy.
Yeah, big arm guy. First plate appearance, almost tore my hammy, trying to run it, beat it out.
Yeah.
Next at bat, dislocated my knee, trying to hit one to Doreen.
Jesus.
Had to get carried off. Like I was in
It's
like
a phenomenal start to the career.
I was no joke. I was like in a heap. I was in a heap on the mound, and like I remember the catcher. It was this kid, like acne braces. He's like, "Are you all right?"
Classic baseball player too.
Yeah, he's like, "Are you all right?" I was like, "No."
Get out of my
I was like,
face,
please give me some room." So I never played again.
Nah, still got the scars, clearly, just
Look,
keeps you up some nights.
look. As much as I love to admit, like I had to put my badminton trophies away, obviously, but
Yeah. Wouldn't be much room left on the table for the mics and the...
no. Well, I had to take them out of the studio because there's just not much room here. But a lot of sports just weren't for me. I wish I could play baseball, but it just wasn't for me. Do you remember a moment when you sort of noticed that you were starting to become above the, I don't know how to put this, the playing level? Like obviously there's going to be a point in your junior career when you start to break away from, say, like the Heath Jenkins that you're playing with and that, the guys who sort of can't throw and can't hit, can't field.
So I think probably broke away from Heath maybe 6 to 8 months out of the womb.
Yeah.
I reckon then the motor skills kind of took off from there. But honestly, man, like I was pretty up and down baseball wise. Like I was always a pretty skilled player because I worked really hard and trained a lot. But like I made that rubber ball team in grade 6, and then in year 7 I made an Australian team. Went to Cal Ripken in Maryland. It was a real good trip. Got to meet Cal Ripken Jr. He was one of the all-time greats of baseball. And then from there, really, I made the Vic Blue. So the way the state teams work for baseball is there's a Vic Blue and a Vic White, and like Vic Blue is the top side, and then the second side pretty much is Vic White. It used to be country and Metro, but then they changed it to pretty much just give to juiced up Victorian teams. But like so under 14s, I made blue team. No, I didn't make another blue team ever again. So like I was pretty, I'd say like well skilled. I was just really short. Like I was a big Heath Jenkins kind of operator, like real short. And then through all those junior years, I made all the white teams. So I didn't make the good side. So I was pretty disappointed there. And then I think my top age 18s year, I thought I grew probably like 5. So I went from like 5'8" to like 6'1", 6'2" in like a couple of months. Yeah. And I was like, oh, hang on, like I'm on here. Like I've always been told like, oh, I was really good, but I was just too short. So I was like, oh, okay, now I'm a lock for Vic Blue or whatever, 18th. And I didn't make that side, and it was kind of a big like punch in the gut almost, where I was like, all right, like I probably have to do some reflecting here whether this is something I really want to do or like. Yeah.
What age was this?
I think this was like probably like heading into year 12, so like end of year 11 kind of thing. And because I thought, the whole time I've been told like I was a good player, I was just too small, and then like I grew and still getting picked, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe maybe the writing's on the wall here. Maybe I've got to make some changes and work a bit harder, which is what I did. I ended up deciding to hit left-handed after that, so I started switch hitting there, which is probably a big interesting move out of that, like not making the top side and deciding, you know what, I'll just try and do something
about left-handed.
So it was a bit weird, but I reckon that was probably those junior years for me were really influential in teaching me how to work hard, and like that, I wasn't the most superstar, can't miss prospect out there, so it was definitely a turning point. Those not getting selected for those teams.
So switching to left-handed, was that something that you said to yourself, I'm going to do this, or was there like a process where someone maybe suggested it to you? Because that's like it was a big call. It wasn't really anything someone told me to do. In fact, they probably told me the opposite. They probably told me to stop trying, and I was a bit of a dickhead for trying to wait till I'm almost 18 and decide to hit from the other side, which is arguably the harder side to hit from. But no, I kind of
at the time I was a big Jose Reyes guy back with the Mets, and he was a switch hitting shortstop, and I was like, you know what, like if I want to go to college, and I feel like for me that was a massive deal trying to go to college. I was like, you know, I'm another just skinny right-handed middle infielder. What could make me stand out? And I was like, oh, maybe switch hitting, and it was something I kind of played around with a bit when we like boat racing teams and stuff. So I thought I'd give it a go, and ended up working all right. I was my first year in college, we had our exit meetings, winter break, so I'd been there for a semester or whatever. I hadn't even really had a full season like of facing competition, hitting left-handed. And the exit meeting, my coach was like, oh, have you ever thought about not hitting right-handed anymore, just focusing
Just
on
going left, yeah.
And I was like, Jesus, like,
Shit.
he's just pretty much shit on my entire swing for 18 years. Like, I've only been hitting right-handed my entire life, but I was like...
Hate to see what he'd say about my swing.
Yeah. I guess I kind of just took it as a compliment towards my lefty swing and stuck with it.
As you touched on there, you did play college. Talk about that process. Was that something that you know, early on into your career, you wanted to head that direction, or was that something that sort of, you know, came sort of later on into your, you know, year 9, year 10, where you sort of really thought this is an option?
Yeah, probably towards the end, I reckon. I think like for my generation of guys, like college wasn't really massive. Like now it's pretty big, but back then it was. I mean, everyone kind of just wanted to get signed, which is, you know, what they do. Like in Australia, like most people sign between like 16 and 18. That's kind of the window where people start to sign and stuff. So I think before then I was kind of always maybe a bit optimistic or delusional, I guess you could say. I kind of probably just thought I was just going to sign or something like that. So then, you know, once I kind of wasn't making teams and wasn't really getting any interest from scouts, I thought, oh, I'd really like to go to college. Like I'd seen, you know, American Pie, and you kind of think, hang on a second,
It looks nice on paper,
might
doesn't
venture
it?
out here. Yeah, exactly. So, no, it was kind of something, towards the end of like school and like the junior career, just started sending out feelers, and it's an interesting process for anyone that hasn't gone through it, especially out here. Like now it's a bit different. There's
more scouts.
Yeah, there's a bit of traction and stuff, and like there's actually programs that you can make to record the videos. But for me, I was doing Utah media at the time, so I was able to go in there and shout out to Tim Wood from St. Helena. He let me borrow the St. Helena video recording equipment, and I was able to just, you know, make together a little highlight package and send it off to a fair number of schools. Yeah,
did you have background music?
Nah, I did not have background music. There's a few like do's and don'ts, and they reckon like you don't want to be that bloke just running like Eminem 8 Mile out the back of it. So I think it was a good decision in the end to just have a bit of radio silence out there.
No, so you played for a couple of years in college. What was the whole experience like for you? Like, I know you sort of touched on now that college is becoming bigger for sort of kids in that age bracket, but is there anything that you would say to someone who would probably be on the fence, say like an 18-year-old kid who's sort of on the fence about going to play college?
Yeah, so like I think it probably depends on the player. Like if you can sign, obviously everyone wants to sign. Like if you can sign, you sign.
Money's nice.
Yeah, exactly. It would be nice.
Yeah.
But hands down, the best decision I ever made. It was real daunting, especially like the college system's a bit different. Like junior college level versus Division 1 NCAA is like, it's a big difference, right? But like, so going into junior college being, you know, freshly 18, and I'm in the middle of central Illinois, in the middle of nowhere, like it was real daunting.
Yeah.
But super like gratifying. Like you really mature a lot, and like when you're out by yourself, like you kind of, it's sink or swim a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the best thing I ever did. And competition wise, it's like baseball out here, we just don't play enough games. Like in the States, these kids play like 200 games a year, you know, and then like the big league season's 162, and then the minor league's like 140 or so. And for us, like we play, you know, probably your 20 games in the winter, and then 25 games in the summer, and then maybe nationals, which is, you know, 10 games. So it's like college, when you get there in the fall, so like those first couple of months, that pre-season area, we play like 50 games in the pre-season. So like playing a year's worth of games in the first 3 months, 2 months of getting there, you're like,
that's nuts.
Yeah, really, really learn a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it's crazy because I'm a very big baseball enthusiast, but like first getting into it, I was like, are you telling me these guys play 162 games in a season and they do like it's almost like 2 months, like spring training?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
There's
they play
30 games.
30 games.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And especially if you're looking at that from a minor league level, that is a grind.
That's a lot of games. And like the big leagues, I mean, those blokes they got the chartered flights,
chartered
and
flights,
steak
nice.
and lobster on the plane and stuff. Whereas the minor league guys, you're a 14-hour bus, and then you got a game that day. So it's
the sleeper
different.
buses and the cold subway. Yeah, it's a big difference.
Pizzas, that's for sure.
It's a big difference, absolutely. I know you made the transition to pitching, which is something we will get into. But I'd like to hear about how you approach the game from a positional player point of view. Like I think what you said before about switching how you bat is very interesting. But I would love to know like how your mindset would sort of change throughout, say, the college years when you were going through hot streak, cold streak, or even just your approach at the plate.
Yeah. So I think it definitely matured. Like I was fortunate enough to go to a really good junior college. Like I got there, we were ranked like 11th in the country my freshman year, and then like 5th in the country my sophomore year. So we got in, and it was like we had 10 of our 12 pitchers through over 90. Like all these guys were hitting. Like we got there the first day, and they're just absolutely crushing balls. And I'm like a skinny little singles hitter.
Hi, how are you?
And I was a bit taken back by all the big fellas absolutely crushing it, and you kind of question yourself a bit there. But then those like first 2 years, I think junior college, they don't have rules on like training and stuff. So you'd train for 6 hours, then you go do conditioning, and like whereas like at the Division 1 level, you only have like
it's like
40
contact
minutes
hours
of allocated time with each position group, pretty much. So for me, like I think those first couple of years, it was really just like that footy mentality, just like absolutely go out and just guns blazing, smash it out. Like if I didn't get a hit my first at bat, I was like, the helmet's getting absolutely smoked onto the chair. Like I'm breaking shit, I'm ripping batting gloves, like I'm steaming. And I think like that's good. Like it definitely drove me. Like it was like for a competitive side, I think that's really good. But then once I got to my Division 1 school, like we had meetings about like approach. We had like classroom meetings about like we had like a mental skills coach, Brian Kane, talking about like stuff like how you get to peak performance and stuff like that. And then I was fortunate enough, I took a sports psych class with Dr. Radlow, and talked a lot about like the mental side of sport, which is definitely something at the junior college level like we didn't really go into too much. So I was able to learn a lot there and just kind of be able to slow myself down and understand that like chasing a hit my first at bat, like that's good, but like you want to set goals that you can achieve, right? So you want to have an attainable goal going up to the plate. So like it used to be my first few years, it was like I'm getting a fucking hit. Like my goal is to fucking get a hit. Yeah. Whereas like that's not really something you can control. Like baseball, you can absolutely smash a ball. Yeah. Go right at a guy, or you can fall over yourself. Yeah. Throw the head out and bloop it over someone's head, and you got a hit. So I felt like I realised that my goals that I was setting for myself weren't realistic. Yeah, they weren't really realistic, and they weren't. They didn't show me if I was successful or not, right? So it was like I could have a terrible swing, have a bad at bat, and get a hit, and then I'm patting myself on the back, and then I have a really good at bat, like I fouled 12 off, and then hit a ball hard at a guy, and I'm out, and I'm ripping my batting gloves to shreds. So I realised that like for me, my goal, like, and everyone in the lineup has different roles, and I think like that's something you learn, that like my role is going to dictate what my goal is going to the plate. So for me, my goal was to have a quality at bat, which was even if I struck out, but I saw 10, 12 pitches, it's still like quality at bat. So I was looking for something. My attainable goal was to hit the ball hard. So I was like, if I can go up there and like I hit the ball hard 3 out of 4 times, I might get one hit for the day, but I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. So I think that was that maturity of being able to change from going out and trying to have 3 hits every day. Yeah. Like I'm going out there and I'm trying to now like...
You try and stay in the moment.
That's it, yeah. I want to be locked in each pitch, change my approach depending on what the guy's throwing, but really just have realistic goals that I'm going to hit the ball hard here. If I get a hit, that's a plus. If I hit the ball hard and don't get a hit, then, that's still a quality at bat for me and something I'm happy with.
Yeah. Two things I wanted to touch on there. So you kind of mentioned you saw, these kids smacking the balls out. Was that difficult to, see, this massive bloke just hitting the ball like 400 feet and then going I
can't do that. Physically watching him going, I can't do that, mate.
But would it change your approach? Like, was there a part of you that's like, I know that's not me, but then you try and hit it just a little bit harder?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think you're only human if you did that. Like, definitely, I think there's times, and it's honestly the same. Like, even, like you say, you mature and you say you get past it, but you go to a different club, or whether it's me starting in Brizzy or my first BP at Melbourne, it's hard to stay within yourself. Like, especially if you're not a big hit it over the fence guy, or if you're not a super hard thrower. You see other people do stuff that you're not capable of, and
I'm
hold
used to
yourself
that.
back from having a crack.
I'm used to that, man.
Yeah. See, I don't have to tell you, but I think that's definitely something that you see that and you're like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Like this guy, I can do that too. And you're like, no, you can't, mate.
Yeah,
you're
can't.
40 kilos, Jeff.
No, it is really interesting, and I think that the sport, and the other part is that the sports psych, side is really starting to get what's not like it hasn't never been around, but all professional teams now will have
it's so driven towards that now.
Yeah, it's incredible. I remember listening to something, probably the best hockey player in the world was talking about how he has a sports psych.
Yeah.
And he's like, honestly, I need it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you would watch someone and you're like, Jesus Christ, he's so good, but you're not understanding what's going through his head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those mental skills coaches are massive, especially today, with all the, athletes now have to deal with a lot more than people used to in the past, you can't go out and have a meal after the game without someone reminding you of the game, and it's hard to be able to switch that off, especially when it's your job and it's something that you do 8 hours a day, or you're at the field for 10 hours a day, and being able to come home and switch off and being able to distinguish between, they talk about, it's the persona and the person, who you are as an athlete or who you are as, a player versus who you are as a person, and being able to switch that off and not have that bad game as a player trickle over into your relationships or how you are at home, or because I think, with all the social media and stuff, players can have a bad game or a bad performance, and then they go home and they're sitting on their couch and bang, they got 50 comments calling them a loser and going to neck yourself and stuff like that. And it's years past, that really wasn't too much of an issue.
Yeah.
Maybe some bloke throws his pie at you when you miss a Levi Casbolt from the goal square.
Yeah.
But yeah, now being able to have those mental skills coaches and those guys that understand really how to get you towards your your flow state or your peak performance, and what triggers you need either side of that to be able to get back to where you are.
Yeah.
Or where you need to be, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's it is a really difficult thing, because you see it so often because of how easy it is to reach out. Yeah. I literally, if I was watching you on the TV and you've given up a home run, by the time you've thrown your next pitch, I could have sent you a message on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, calling you a dickhead on all three.
Yeah.
It's just so easy.
Did too, yeah.
I mean, yeah, probably did, but I would have done it through a burner account, so you wouldn't have known it was me.
KD style.
Yeah, but it is, and the whole burner account, it's some bloke with John 7452, and he's got a Holden Commodore as his display photo, and he's saying you're pathetic, and you're like, well, am I, John?
Yeah, get a job, John.
I feel like a lot of people go with athletes. They're like, well, you're a professional athlete. How difficult's your life?
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a lot of that. The money comes into it, where people sort of think that, oh, well, he's getting paid all this money I'm allowed to lash out and attack him as a person, which obviously, it's not on. But I think, definitely with the inflation of salary and stuff, it definitely increases that disconnect between, the fan and the professional athlete. Now they're more almost non-human than they were when they were making, similar money. So I think that's definitely something that's huge in sport at the moment, and something that I enjoy talking to young kids about is like, reading books and stuff like that. Like obviously, I'm not asking you to read, some Charles Dickens for bloody year 11 English, but something like I have a book that I like to give to people. I've given to one of our mates, Heath Jenkins as well. It's called Mind Gym. Like mind and then gym is how it's spelled, but it's got like a collection of stories and kind of like triggers and stuff that other players and professional athletes in the past have used to get them towards that peak performance and to get them to be able to shut off that outside world and just try and get to they call it like flow state when you're completely locked in on your task.
I tried to be a college punter at one point in time, failed obviously, but I had a lot of issues because I had like the same thing. Like guys would smack balls and I'm like, I can't kick that. But I constantly would just try and reach for something more. Yeah. And, one of the guys there was really helpful. He said, mate, don't watch. He goes, if you're in a line to kick, he's like, put your head down. Yeah. He's like, don't watch until it's your turn. And it did. It's amazing, like such a small thing, like did make such a difference. Yeah, so like absolutely. I have no idea if the four blokes kicked incredible balls or shit balls before, and then I'd stand up, with a clear mind, obviously still hit a shit. Drunk, and I still hit a shit ball, but it's amazing like just how something so simple can just completely clear your mind. So college ends for you and you head to Brisbane.
Like right as I was doing my final exams and stuff at Western Illinois, I was getting some messages from the coach at Adelaide. Tank is a really good bloke. And then I kind of really hadn't thought about it. I was still maybe naively thinking I was going to get drafted, so I wasn't really giving much attention to it. And then, long and behold, I didn't get drafted. I went home, and then I was kind of still talking to Adelaide a bit, and then I spoke to Melbourne, and Melbourne were really good about it. Like I spoke to Deebs, who's the coach at the time, and he was pretty much like, look, we'd love to have you, but at the moment we've just got so many imports and so many guys coming in that we don't really have a spot for you. So he was like, look, if you have somewhere else you can play that's going to give you an opportunity, jump on it. If not, we'd love to have you around. Yeah. So from there, I was kind of like, all right, well, looks like I'm going Adelaide. Like I really appreciate them being straight up with me like that. They could have sucked me around a bit. And then Thorpe, one of my best mates, signed with Brisbane, and I mean, at the time, I don't think he was really going to play too much because he was with the Twins and stuff. And so he signed with them, and they'd just won 3 straight. And I remember all the boys were like, "Ella, why don't you just play in Brisbane with Lou?" Like, because I'm a nuffy, and they've just won 3 straight flags. Like, they're not calling me, mate. Like I can't even get a game for Melbourne. What do you think? Like, so I was kind of a bit thrown off there. And then, I was probably really close to signing with Adelaide, and then. I got a message from Mark Reedy, who's the owner, kind of runs the show up in Brisbane, and he just messaged me saying, "Hey, Thorpe says you're really good.
No pressure.
Want to play for us?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, hit me straight back with like, almost double what I was going to get at Adelaide, and he was just like, "Yeah, and we've got you and Lewis at 21st floor apartment."
Okay.
Like, well, kind of fucked now, and I like, here we go. Yeah, so it plays a bit.
It's going to be awkward when he finds out I'm not good.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a bit strange, and then I signed with them, and then I guess it ruffled a few feathers down here. I think people weren't too happy with, Brisbane had just been running the league for 3 straight years, and they weren't too happy that, a Melbourne kid was going up there, but...
Give me an apartment.
Yeah, 21st floor apartment.
All you got to do, give me one on the 22nd floor.
And then I was like, when's the next time I'm probably ever going to get to put on the same uniform as Thorpe? So I was like, I kind of have to. So, it was a bit of a weird preparation for it, because we went away for the 23s World Cup right before it. It was in Colombia, which beautiful place in the world for those who haven't been. Yeah. And I kind of got back from Colombia and we had about a couple of days, and then I went straight up to Brizzy and it was on, and then I was up there for about 8 weeks before Lewis even got there. So it was more of a 2-bedroom apartment to myself, so I wasn't
beautiful
too upset.
So head back to Melbourne. How easy is life?
Yeah, pretty easy.
Yeah.
Nah, so they were absolutely unbelievable, the boys up there. Like, especially I didn't really know any of them going in, and then even the first team meeting, they got around me and they kind of gave me that freedom to be myself, which was, you know, like, especially you go from junior college, there's only two year levels there. So, like, once you're the first year guys, once you get over that first year stuff, you're kind of, you know, big dogs on the team. And then when you transfer to the next school, like, you're a third year guy and a fourth year guy. So I was an older guy, you know, like a bit of a leadership. Like, I was, you know, one of the leadership guys my senior year. And then going into an ABL season where I'm a rookie, I don't know any of these blokes. Like, I'm moved back away from home, and you kind of like, oh, hang on a second, like,
back down the pecking
probably
order.
the shit I was getting away with being the big dog senior, you're probably not going to fly. So they were really good to just let me be myself, and I'm sure at some point they kind of regretted letting go of the leash because I was a bit outrageous, but so we were able to chalk that one off, and I stayed up there a couple of days and enjoyed some celebrations, and then kind of came home.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, that's the way to do it, mate. The most important thing I think of this interview is going to be the transition to pitching. Talk about that, because, you know, I know you said before you switched to, you know, batting left-handed. That's impressive, but to go from a position player to now being a pitcher, you're literally going from one end to the other. Like, talk
completely.
How did that come about?
It was a bit weird. Like, I threw a game in Brisbane, actually. We were in Sydney and we were smashing them or something, and I wasn't playing because I'd done my quad, and they were doing, like, they kept me on the roster so I'd get paid and stuff, so they did the real right thing. And then they were like, oh, you want to pitch? Like, we're up 100, like, just kill some time. And I was like, yeah, beauty. So I got on there, did all right, nothing really happened, and then that next winter, just at Monty there, I was like, I told the coach, I was like, I wouldn't mind, like, pitching towards the end of the games, and they were like, who are you? You know, like, all right, mate.
Yeah, sure.
And then, like, we had a really good pitcher come across, Sam Strait, who was a national team guy, and he ended up, you know, absolutely dominating for us. So I only really pitched a couple every now and then, a few games, like, towards the end, just come in, and it was throwing pretty firm. Like, I always had, like, you always
had pace.
Yeah, I always had a good arm. Like, I was a plus defender. That was probably my only really thing I had going for me as a position player, was that I could field and throw, which naturally you'd think probably put him in a position that just isolates that, but no one really put those together. But yeah, so I was just playing at Monty, throwing all right, and then that year I wasn't really sure if I was going to go back to Brisbane or stay and play for the Aces, and then I kind of spoke to some people and they probably said it was the best thing to do not to keep pissing people off in Melbourne and play for the Aces. And I spoke to Deebs, and Deebs was like, we'd like to offer you, you know, we want you around, but we want you as a two-way, so a position player and a pitcher. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, I really can't be fucked pitching, like, at that level. Like, I'm happy to just take the piss and club ball. Like, so I was a bit...
It's a big jump.
Yeah, I was a bit thrown off, but I was like, I'm not really going to tell the bloke to get fucked when he's calling me, giving me a job, you know? So I was like, yeah, mate, absolutely. Like,
I've always found that's the best way to get a job, is to not do that.
But yeah, so then I was kind of supposed to be a two-way with the Aces, and then we got there, and Darryl George, our franchise player of the Aces, hurt himself away with the national team. So all of a sudden we didn't have a shortstop, and that was kind of what I played. So I was thrown into that. So like that first half of the year, I was really just didn't pitch at all. I don't think I was just kind of playing a position and playing my role kind of thing. And then about halfway through the year, they were like, got me on the mound. I threw all right, and I think I was throwing like low 90s or whatever. And then then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, mate, you're not fucking playing a position anymore. You're pretty much just pitching. So, like, that second half of that first year in Melbourne, I was pretty much just a pitcher. And then, like, threw a couple of times down in Geelong. I think I was throwing, like, 93, hit a couple of 94s, and then...
Yeah, that's quick.
Yeah, it was coming in all right. And I spoke to a couple of teams, and it was kind of off from there.
Talk about that, you know, obviously we mentioned at the start, you signed with the Kansas City Royals. Like, when a big league team says, we want to sign you, like, what's going on in your mind at that point?
pretty cool. Like, obviously, it's something I've always wanted, and then for that to come around, it was good. But I had a bit of interest like that winter when I was, kind of throwing and hitting and stuff. I had a bit of interest from one team. Like, there was a scout who'd come down and film me and stuff. But this was still, he'd like film my hitting and stuff, as well as the pitching when I get out there. Actually, funny story, we were in Blackburn playing, and this was when I was playing at Monty and had this bloke filming me. And I came in and I struck out, and he was filming me while I was getting struck out, and it was a shit call. I shouldn't have got struck out. Still not happy about it.
Yeah.
And I decided to give the umpire a bit of feedback on my way back, which, as you know, umpires love hearing some feedback.
They do love
bloke
feedback.
that's just got punched out. So he's ended up tossing me. So this whole at bat, I've got this scout there filming me, strike out, and then get ejected. And so that bloke didn't come back to another game. So I lost that club. So I kind of lost a bit of interest for a while there, and then threw a bit in the ABL, and then had a couple of teams talk to me, which was pretty cool. And then it kind of went really quick. Like, it was, I think I threw in Geelong on the Sunday, and then I was supposed to throw a bullpen for the Aces training on Tuesday, and they moved it to Wednesday, and then had a few scouts come, and they just watched me throw, and then I threw, and then like literally I was driving home that night, and I was like,
Someone
they
called
messaging me like, yeah, hey, like, we're interested. This is what we're gonna do, and I was stoked. Like, I've come in, like, this is my dream, so
How
come
easy is
true.
this?
I've kicked open the door, I've ran straight in, gone to the folks. I'm like, hey, like, just got an offer from the Royals. I think I'm gonna sign. And no word of a lie, my mum throws her hands up and goes, well, that's just fucking terrible. And I was like, what? She's like, what are you going to do about uni? And I was like, probably just defer. So, yeah.
I'm not worried
kept me
about
humble.
uni. Yeah. Oh, that is an incredible story. You literally go from, say, having an approach where, like, I want to get a hit, I want to get on base, to now I need to get this guy out. And because you come in late in essentially a lot of the time to high pressure situations, you're now like, well, if I don't strike this guy out, we might lose and I might get in trouble. Yeah. Like what's on your, let's say it's bases are loaded, 3-1 count, it's a tie game in the 8th inning. What's going through your head on the mound?
Just to really execute the pitch, like, you got to kind of lock it in as much as you can. Like, I think the difference between the two, like, hitting's obviously the reactionary of the two, whereas, pitching's the dominating one, where it's like you come out, and I think learning how to try and shift my mindset from that, like, even keel kind of hitting, where it's like you got to be able to react and concentrate, but also stay real loose, whereas, like, pitching, it's like, all right, fuck you, I'm throwing this. Like, you're not hitting it. Like, it's a lot of that more, I think, that bulldog kind of one-on-one mentality, like more probably closer back to that, that footy kind of high intensity, short bouts kind of thing. So I think probably just try and come in and focus not on the situation, but just really the batter, and then kind of execute my pitches really, and not fucking blow it.
I've seen you throw a couple of perfume balls.
Yeah, there's a few. Couple keep in the back pocket that are just garbage.
It's for people who don't know, for people who don't follow baseball has a lot of these old like unwritten rules where, if someone slides in, like if someone slides into second base and they have the studs up or whatever, like
you let them know. Yeah.
You let them know, and they're getting hit.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the times, if someone gets hit, then someone from the other team's getting hit. Have you had a coach tell you to hit someone?
I have never, actually, which sucks because I'm really keen. That's almost why I signed up for pitching, is to not have the fear of being hit. I've been hit before. One of our, like, it was in college, we were up by like 10 runs or whatever. So at that point, like, for the unwritten rules of baseball, like, you don't steal.
You don't celebrate.
You just kind of play base to base. Like, you don't just fucking rub it in their face pretty much. And this kid's stolen. And he was safe. And as soon as he stole, I was like, fuck me. Like, I'm getting drilled here.
Trouble.
And then, as soon as he stole, like, their whole dugout's like, have some feel, like, screaming out, sort of thing. And then, like, just sitting in the box, like, fuck, like.
Yeah.
You knew it. Like, I didn't even have to take. I literally, like, you know, instead of getting set, like, I literally just stood there. I was like,
Stood there.
"What's this?"
You didn't
I
have
was
to
just
look back.
praying that he'd be like, try and be sneaky and like throw a strike, and I'd be like, oh, it's over. Like,
No.
you're not gonna hit me, nah, drill me. So,
Yeah. Can't imagine it tickles.
yeah, it's not the best, but I think there's some spots where they hit you and it's not too bad, and then there's others where they get you and
Yeah.
you know about it.
Yeah. No, it is really weird like that from baseball, from that like unwritten, like, and I think a lot of that's actually changing.
Yeah,
So you're having these like really young, exciting kids from like the Dominican who
yeah,
are like,
like your rules.
I
Yeah,
don't care.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Fernando Tatis, who's just signed a
Monster deal.
$30 million 14-year deal.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was him. Bases loaded. The bases loaded 3-0 count, and they were up by 10 or something.
Yeah.
And he swung at it and hit it out of the park. And they're like, and then people are saying like, oh, I was like, have a feel for the game, whatever. It's like, you shouldn't be swinging at that. It's like, well, land a pitch.
Yeah.
Like-
nah, some of those rules are bullshit. I don't know. But there's a lot of that stuff in baseball. There's a lot of dark history with that kind of stuff and the steroid stuff, and I don't know. Like, I think the unwritten rules, like some of them, like I think, yeah, that
Some of them have a
stuff,
place, but some are
when
ridiculous.
you're up by 10 runs, don't like rub it in someone's face, but like that.
Yeah.
So you want Tatis to just take there, like he's the most exciting player in baseball.
100%. Yeah.
3-0, like it's the best count to hit. Like
Yeah.
throw a strike, mate. Like
Yeah, literally.
you didn't
Yeah.
have to get to 3-0. Like,
No. And if you're going to throw a strike, don't groove it into like one
Yeah.
of the best players in the big leagues. Is there a play that you look at now, obviously being a pitcher, is there, whether it's Lewis or someone else in the big leagues, where you look at and you look at from, say, maybe a pitching mechanics point of view, and then also is there a play you look at and you go, this is my trajectory, or this is the path I'm going to have to take?
Yeah, well, pitching mechanics wise, like the guy that I kind of get like most of my comps, like my comparisons to, is Joe Kelly
Okay.
with the Dodgers, because I'm a real, like when most pitchers, like they pitch and they're like real long arm action.
Yeah, you're very compact.
Yeah, because I'm used to be an infielder, like I used to just throw from
Yeah.
so I throw real short, which is kind of like where they're trying to head with pitching mechanics at the moment. But so my comp would be Joe Kelly. He's a real
Yeah.
short arm action guy,
not
wiry
a
guy,
bad one.
and he's a very competitive individual too. So
It's very funny.
Yeah,
He's a bit of a
hits
character.
people and blows them kisses and lets them know a bit.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's
that,
all right. But the trajectory stuff, probably honestly Pete Moylan. Like,
yeah.
I hope so. Like that'd be mint. But
Yeah.
just as like a signed as an older guy, like mature, hadn't really pitched before, and then kind of just figured it out.
I'm not a doctor, obviously, but from pitchers, obviously you have the Tommy Johns, which is hopefully does the compact action reduce the risk of that?
I don't know. I think that injury is probably always going to be there. Like it's just, you only have so many bullets before it snaps, really. So I think that's definitely one of the things. Like they like that shorter arm action. Like you get a lot of shoulder problems when you're long through your backside, whereas when you're short, like everything's compact. You have like a strong base, and you can move a lot more stabilized through the entire motion than when you're like long levers. But I'm not sure. I think they like it for that reason, but I don't know, mate. They said they liked it, so I keep fucking doing it.
Yeah, no, I think Tim Lincecum is a really good example of the for a long point he was like
untouchable,
literally untouchable, but he had that long,
he had a very weird action,
really,
like,
and he fell off a cliff
Yeah.
hard with cement boots on.
Yeah, tough.
He felt hard.
I was a
and
Giants
bust.
fan, so yeah, it was tough to watch the big fella fall off.
Yeah, it's interesting. And do you think that given how old are you now?
25.
25. So you've been pitching full time now for 2 years?
Well, not even 2 years, probably a year full time, but
Yeah.
not even a pro season in there. So
Do you think that helps you from that aspect,
Yeah,
and
for
that
sure.
you've got a lot more bullets in the chamber now, essentially?
yeah, hopefully, and I think that's what they're thinking. It's kind of like a fresh arm. Like I don't have too many innings under me, which is nice. But then obviously there's different challenges that come with that. But
Yeah.
I think that's a big plus. Is that like I don't have 10,000 innings, like pretty fresh arm. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I still feel the body's creeping up there in age. That's for sure.
Well, that's it. Like when you get shoulder injuries, that's sort of when it starts to, you really start to fall off a cliff, and you see that with, sort of a lot of amateur cricketers, park cricketers. They sort of get their shoulder injuries, and then everything sort of falls apart.
Yeah, well, like the TJ stuff, like your elbow, they reckon it's like 95%, like you come back better or stronger. Whereas like if you do your shoulder, like a labrum tear, guys that have labrum tears, like I think it's like 50-50 whether you come back to full strength, let alone come back better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely the shoulder. Once that starts to go, you're in a bit of trouble. But the body's so, like, everything relies on everything else. So it's like, you could have a knee that blows out and that's you done, So it's tough. I think that's definitely the big thing is taking care of your body and trying to do mostly the right things to be able to stay on the park. And I think, like, that's something I've always said. Like, I think the two biggest skill sets that you can have for any sport aren't even sport related. Like, I think the two best abilities to have is adaptability and availability. Like being able to be malleable and change to situations and to stimulus and stuff, but also be available. Like, you can't get that opportunity if you're not healthy. So
It's an incredible point. I think especially the minor league aspect. So most sports have just been hit brutally.
Yeah.
Do you know what the plan is for you sort of moving forward with Kansas City, and like will you head over there or will you sort of stay here for a little while?
So still not sure. We had a couple of Zooms the other day talking about the timeline and stuff. So obviously Major League Spring Training started now, which is, I think they're 50 or so invite guys to big league camp. And then, so because of COVID, usually Major League and minor league spring training happen at the same time. I think Major League usually starts a couple of weeks early, but because of COVID, they want to reduce the amount of people they can have in the common spaces. So minor league spring training starting later. So I think we're starting the 29th of March is report date. So you get in there, and then 30th they do all the intake testing, so like your physicals and your blood work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I think April 1st is the start of minor league spring training, and then that's going to go for a month, and then start of May will be the season, and then there's another group of minor league guys, the extended group, who then go in and do their spring training then. So it's kind of like three slots really. We're not really sure at the moment which slot I'm going to be in. Obviously, hopefully, I'd like to be in that first group at spring training because it gets me over there earlier. But it looks like I could be in that second group, which would be the start spring training about May, which works out pretty good for me because I actually got one semester left at RMIT, and if I'm in that,
Mum will be happy.
Yeah, she'll be happy if I can get it done. So if I can wait till May, I think I can do most of my classes. And I'm doing teaching, so I have to do that 6-week block. And then just save the 6-week block, so do all my courses, and then come back in October, September, and do my pre-service teaching, and then get the degree. So as much as I want to be in that first group to get to spring training about the 29th or so,
makes more sense.
It'd probably be better for me long run to be in that second group. So I'm sure that means I'll be in the first group.
Well, mate, whatever group you're in, I wish you all the best, and thank you very much for coming on. It's been an incredibly insightful chat, and I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks, mate. No, thanks, everyone.
Absolute pleasure.